Welcome to Advanced Data Analysis 1 with me, Erik Erhardt, Professor of Statistics at the University of New Mexico. In this video, I'll help get you started with installing R and the other packages from the website. So we're going to go down to, from the table of contents, we go down to the R software portion. And I'm not going to install R on my computer, but I will click through the pages so you can see what to do. In particular, there's a video here that will walk you through the installation either on Windows or a Mac. Okay. So if I'll click both of these links and open them in new tabs. I'll also open the upgrade link. Okay. So if you're running R, you'll click on the download. You'll install it just like normal software. Okay. Accept all the defaults. Don't have your own private, separate personal profile or whatever. Just accept all the defaults as they are. For Mac, it's been a while since I've installed software on a Mac, but you download the package and then do you drag it over to your applications folder or something? Hopefully you have installed software before and know how to do that. If you're upgrading R, that's the best way to upgrade. The best way to upgrade is to uninstall the old version of R, then install the new version of R, and then update all the packages with this command. If you do those three things, it works. Now, historically, there used to be a library folder that you'd want to copy over from your old version to your new version. That has not been the recommended way in about 4 or 5 years. So I believe most of you are probably going to be running modern enough versions, if you already have it, that you can just uninstall the old, install the new, update packages. Okay, so uninstalling, there will be a file where it's installed. So on Windows, it's going to be probably your C drive, program files, R, and then there'll be an uninstall 000.exe file in there. Yeah, anyway. For Mac, I don't know, do you drag it to the trash? I think it's something like that. All right, so after you've installed R, don't run R yet, okay? R does have its own window that you can program in. That's how we used to do it 10 years ago. But RStudio is a wrapper for R, and it will give you a nice user interface. Okay. When you go to this website, it will probably automatically detect what operating system you have. So for me, it detects that I've got Windows, and it's got to install RStudio right here. It also has a link to installing R, but we've already done that probably. If this is not your version, okay, Windows, then you can scroll down and you've got operating system, Windows, Mac, etc. Okay, so you just download one of these files and install it. Okay, once that's installed, don't run it yet, but RStudio is the program that you're going to run. Okay, so then you can do Quarto. Quarto is the modern way of compiling or rendering from an R Markdown file. It will render all the code and the writing to an HTML or PDF file. It's a wonderful idea. Donald Knuth developed this idea of, it was called CWeb back in the day, and then it went under the name Sweave, S-Weave, and then Knitter. These are all words to the same idea, where you can write chunks of code and interlace it with prose that you write, paragraphs. And so you can write, first we read in the data, something like that, and then you have a code chunk and you put the code in there that will read the data in, and then you can have another paragraph that says we visualized the data for these variables, etc. This box plot is right skewed, this histogram, whatever, and then you can have the code chunk that has the code for producing those plots. And you can refer to the plots and do cross-references, and it's really wonderful. So you can download that here and install it. Okay, so after you've installed all those, then you want to run RStudio. So I'm going to launch RStudio. Let's see. Oh, I could probably, yeah. There it is. Okay. All right, let's clean up what I've got going on here. All right, when you start RStudio, you'll see something like this, where you've got a console window. Basically, the environment's broken into 4 pieces. You've got, in fact, let me open a basic Quarto document, and then you'll see the 4 pieces. Okay. I'm just putting in a title and an author. All right. So the window in the top left corner. Oh, I don't like this visual editor. There we go. I'm going to do source. Okay. This is where we're going to edit our code in this top left corner. You'll see me do lots of videos on this. Down here is the console. The console acts like a calculator. 3 plus 4 is 7. You can make a list of numbers. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. Okay. C is a function that combines the elements into a list, and there's the outputted list. All sorts of things. Okay, we could make a histogram, hist of that list of numbers. Okay, there's a histogram down in the plots window. Now I've actually moved some of these windows around, these tabs, so your plots may actually be in the top right, or your help might be in the bottom right, or something. But it's basically these 4 panes. Okay, we're going to mostly work in these 2 windows, and then review our plots on the right, and then we'll have a help window where we get help for the functions that we're using. All right, but this video is not all about that. It's about installing R. So back to the website, install the R packages. So I've got this page here for installing the packages, and so install the package that we'll use. This actually doesn't take that long. Historically, I used to give people lots of packages to install. So it says copy and paste this long code chunk into the R console window and press enter. Each package will be downloaded along with its dependencies and installed. Okay, so I do say that there are some prerequisites here of installing R and RStudio and Quarto. All right, so after they're installed, then we're going to copy and paste this code. Okay, so first this sets a package repository. So there are, just like the school book repository, there's lots of places in the internet where this code that you're going to download is kept, and I'm just going to specify one of those. It's at Iowa State, but there's many around the country. This is a list of packages that we're going to use. We're going to use that combine function C, and we're going to name all the packages here. Okay, and we're going to put that into this variable called package list. So I'm going to copy and paste, or I'm going to copy all this, okay, down to here. Now, if I was you, I would just do this. I would select everything down to the bottom, and then paste it in. But I'm going to show you each piece so that you see how this is composed. So I'm going to copy the package list down to here and paste that into the console. Well, okay. All right, so now I've got this new variable. If we look up in the environment, we created a new variable called package list, and we can print that variable, and it gives us the list. Okay, we've got 57 packages in this list. I will go ahead and install these. It doesn't hurt me to install it again, but I'm going to run this function called install packages. It's going to give the list that we just created, and if any of these packages depend on other packages, it's going to get those as well. Okay, and this binary choice is good. It works for everyone. I will do it too. All right, we do get a message about one or more of the packages to be updated is currently loaded. Okay, so it can't write onto a package that's loaded in memory. So if you restart R, then it will load R again. We're going to click yes, restarting R. Okay, and it isn't loading any additional packages. Okay, now if it asks you to do it again, just say no, because if there's any packages that can't be installed by restarting R again won't fix it. Okay, so we'll say no. Okay, so there's a package datasets that's in use. Datasets is a basic package. I'll probably take that out of the list, but it's a basic package that comes with R, I think, in the base. So, all right, so this is downloading each of the packages. Oops, my little window is over on my other screen. So it's just downloading. I did sort the package names alphabetically, so we at least have a sense of how far it is along by the alphabet. Okay, so now it's finished downloading them all. Now it's unpacking them, which is like expanding them, decompressing them. There's a package here, CLI. This almost always causes problems, and I'll show you how to fix that. Okay, for students. So CLI, I'm going to write that down. I'll show you how to upgrade that. Okay, so it finished installing them, and we're done. So now there is a packages window or tab. If you click on that, you will see a list of packages. I have more than you'll have. I'm not bragging. It's just that I've been using R for a long time. But the packages that you just installed will appear here. Okay. The next thing on our list, we'll go deal with the CLI in a moment. But the next thing is to install my package, Erik MISC for miscellaneous. This will give us a set of functions that I've written that helps for data analysis. Most of the ones that we're going to be using from the package are for assessing diagnostics. Okay, well, I've already installed this, so it's not going to change, but if you did this, it would install the package. Okay. Oh, we can do force equals true, I guess, so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so it downloads from GitHub. GitHub is a website that does Git, which is a software versioning software. Anyway, you will get this message because my package requires other packages. You will have already installed those, so you can say 3 for none. Which would you like to update? Okay, so we'll do 3 and enter, and it will only install the Erik miscellaneous package. Okay, you will get a couple warnings because I have a couple file names that are very long. And we're done. Okay, so when that is done, you've reached the end of this page. So we'll go back to the web page. The next step is library, Erik MISC, and we'll just run the logo just as a confirmation that the package could be loaded and that you can run functions from the package. Okay, so if you get this little pretty picture, then it's worked. Set up your computer. So let's do this and then we'll come back to the CLI package. So I've got two links here. The first is, and we'll actually go through all the global settings for RStudio, and this will be one of them. So we're going to go to in RStudio Tools, and then Global Options, and then I'm going to walk through and I'm going to make sure that you uncheck this box. So let's go over to RStudio and do that. So Tools, Global Options. I apologize if this text is small. I don't have a way to make this much bigger. Historically, I record my videos at 720p, so it's like a small version of HD, of high definition, but I've started this semester doing 1080p because most people have bigger monitors than they used to. Okay, so under general, I think there's I will have you probably uncheck this restore.rdata and say never for whether you want to save the workspace. So your workspace are all the variables and stuff that you've created over a session when you've been working. In my opinion, when you start R, you want to start with a clean slate. And any variables or data that you have in there or functions, you want to be there because you put them there purposefully in this session and not have things linger. Because there may be an object that you created last week and you go to use that object thinking that it's something new, but you're using the old version and it will cause you headaches. So just get rid of everything. It's better if objects don't exist. Okay. Let's see. You can save your history. That's good. All right. Code. Oh, there are these other links. Yeah, I think all the defaults are fine. Code, I think inserting spaces for tabs is good, and having a tab width of 2, I think, is a modern standard. I think the rest of these are probably fine as their default. Take a quick look at what mine are and compare them to yours. There may be things that I've changed. I think that I have changed my output limit length to be something larger. The smaller default is just fine. I think the other defaults are fine. All right, appearance. So I'm going to change my my appearance to the one that I always use. The default is TextMate. I always use Twilight. It's just a dark theme. There are many dark themes in this list, right? It just changes how different words are colored and so on. I don't know. I just started using Twilight long ago, and I've just kept using it. I think that you'll be able to read the characters just fine in Twilight. In cases when I think you can't, I will switch this back to TextMate for videos. But I also am keeping my font sizes big for the videos, but I usually work at 10 and maybe 8, something like that. But for the purposes of videos, I make this a bit larger so you can actually read it, even if you're on your phone on the bus or whatever. Okay. The rest of this I think is fine. Pane layout. Oh, this is where I've changed some things. I don't remember how I changed this, but I put the help in the top right, I think, and I keep the plots in the bottom right. That way, because I often want to be looking at help, but I'm also reviewing a plot. And I think the default is to have both of those maybe in the bottom right. So that's the one change that I've made there. For packages, this is totally fine. Okay, there is anyway, you can change your package repository here, just like we did with code earlier. Okay, here's the important part, R Markdown. So show output inline. I think most people prefer that the output from their code displays in the console window rather than directly under their code chunk in their editor window. I think it's distracting to have output appear where your input is. So I uncheck that. You should see what you like, but maybe start with my preference because I've done this a while and have a sense also of what other students prefer. I've had many students uncheck this in class. I've never had someone say, "Oh, I actually prefer the default way of having it checked." Okay. We're not using Python, so that is unimportant to us. SWeave is an old version of Knitter, so make sure at least up here that you've got Knitter selected, and the PDF LaTeX is a good choice there. Cleaning your auxiliary output files is good to have checked. Most of this will not affect any of you ever because you may not compile into LaTeX, but if you do, those will be the settings that help. Hopefully you know how to spell. We're not using Git for version control. The defaults here are fine, and here and here. Okay. So that's everything. You can click OK, and that sets up your environment. Ooh, I like the logo, looks better with a black background. Okay. The last part of our installing software is the operating system more friendly. So this is an issue for both Windows and for Mac. And that is that it hides known file extensions. I think that makes it very hard. You get the little icon changes, but you don't know what the file extension actually is. The problem is that there can be many file extensions that sort of map to the same icon, and we actually need this file extension. The extension is the dot something, right? So we're going to have dot .r files for writing R. Actually, we're going to have dot .qmd files for Quarto Markdown, QMD. But you will often sometimes have text files, TXT, or JPEGs or PNGs, or even PDFs, and you'll want to see the file extensions. All right. In particular, if you can't see the file extension, you may not be able to change it. And there's an issue with Macintoshes, especially if you're using Safari, that if you download a Quarto file, it appends a .txt to the file name. And if the file name extension is hidden, you can't change it. And it needs to be a .qmd, not filename.qmd.txt, right? So if you have that issue, you need to identify it, and this is how to identify it. So if you're on Windows, follow these instructions. Is anyone still on Windows 7? Or even, I guess Windows 11 now is the thing, right? So anyway, open up your File Explorer, go to View. I'm not going to demonstrate this because I can't demonstrate for everyone, but there is a file name extension box, and you should toggle file extensions on. Okay. For Mac, similarly, open your Finder window, Preferences, go to Advanced, and Show File Name Extensions. That's it. In Linux is going to show you your file extensions because you're a computer person, and computer people need to know this stuff. All right. Also, if you're running Linux, you probably know how to do all this stuff. Okay. Historically, I've not had any other issues that we need to resolve. So, with that introduction, you should have the software running that you'll need for the whole semester. Visit me in office hours if you need any additional help. Okay, I'm back because I forgot to help you with packages that won't update. Okay, so we had an example package, CLI. Now, I actually don't know what CLI does. We can look at the help for that by doing $CLI. Compose multiple CLI functions. Okay, well, that's what it does, obviously. I don't know what that is. All right, so when we try to install it, it says that the package is in use or currently loaded, and if we try to restart R and then have it install, it's going to automatically try that. It asks us again, so we'll say no. Now the package is in use, so it's going to download the file, try to install it, but we'll get it says a warning, but this is sort of an error in terms of whether this package can be installed. Cannot remove prior installation of the package, okay? And so it restores the original version, okay? And the permission denied is because the file is in use. Well, the problem here is that RStudio is a more like a fuller, more complete, environment than just base R by itself. And so it automatically loads packages when you start RStudio, which means that we cannot install this package from inside RStudio. So, unfortunately, because of which window I'm recording on, we won't be able to see this, but I'm going to search for the program RGUI, or it will be R, it will have R and then 4.3.1. It will have the blue R with the gray oval around it as an icon. It looks like this. And when you start that, you'll get this old time screen. This is what I used to use back in the early and mid 2000s. Okay, and it's just a console window. And this version of R, I do have to close RStudio so that this package is no longer in use. Okay, but we're effectively going to do this install.packages of the CLI function package. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to close RStudio. Q is a way of quitting. You can also just close with the X. Okay, but when we try now to install this over here, there we go. It does have us choose a mirror. I'll bring this over so we can see it. Ooh, this window is really long. Can I make it shorter? No. Anyway, choose one of the ones from USA. It doesn't really matter which. It will go out to that mirror. It will download the package, and notice the CLI package was successfully unpacked and it was installed. So, perfect. So now I'm going to quit out of the RGUI. I never save my workspace image. I don't want old things hanging around. I will restart RStudio. And the one thing I should have done at the beginning of this video is looked at the version of the package. Over here in the package tab, if you search for the CLI package, it was probably a smaller number than 361, and it's now 3.6.1. Okay, so we were able to install and update that package. Okay, sorry for this long addendum. See you in the next video.